You know the machine now, how it works, the ins and outs. Let's go back to the story, back to the New York Bima. Both the public and press welcomed the Programma with curiosity and true interest. The first orders started to come in. A growing number of people and firms asked for their slice of future. And this was great for the team, but also a problem. When Olivetti struck a deal with General Electric and created the OGE, the electronic assembly lines were dismantled, while all the experts in electronics left Olivetti for the new company. So, how can you kickstart mass production in a few months without having the equipment, the know-how and the complete backing of management? The Perotto team was somehow lucky, because Olivetti has always promoted the growth of highly specialized teams, which served as knowledge database and offered operative support to anyone in the company who asked kindly enough. Let's say you have a problem with conceiving a new printing device. You ask Giovanni, from this or that division. He may have a prototype you can use on your machine. Perhaps you don't know how to write the specific instruction in machine language? There's a guy in the other lab who can teach you. So when Perotto was informally charged with organizing the mass production of the Programma, he just had to ask the right people, like a friendly plant manager and a few trusted assemblers. In a span of a few hectic weeks, Perotto managed to convert an old production line and readied it to manufacture the Programma 101. The workers took their positions and the machines came back to life. Then the first batch came out of the assembly line. The Programma was finally ready to hit the market. Probably because no one down at the factory wanted to be held accountable for quality control. All in all, the workers didn't know a thing about electronics. They weren't able to tell if the Programmas were working or not. Plant managers simply said, "We assembled the machine according to your instructions. That's it. If they came out flawed, it's not on us. It's on you." You, meaning the Perotto team, which was ready to go the extra mile. Garziera.
Perotto ha detto una sera...
One evening Perotto phoned us. "It's time, let's do it now," he said. He borrowed the keys to the production site so that we could get in during the night. And so we did. The first batch was there, packed and ready to be shipped. We opened the crates, unboxed the Programmas and checked each and every unit. After we ascertained everything was in order, we packed the machines back and left. The computers were then shipped to America. Later that month, we received an heartwarming letter from the States, saying that the Programmas were all right, perfectly working and ready to be sold. So everything is set, the machines work, and the first stock is bound to be sold. But wait a moment. Did Olivetti file the patent to sell the program in the USA? You can't hit such a tumultuous market without taking bare minimum precautions. Moreover, according to the US Patent Office rules, only a natural person could apply for a patent. So Olivetti, as a legal entity, didn't have a chance to have its new machine recognized as company's property. Unless Piergiorgio Perotto applies for the patent and then sells it to Olivetti, which he did for $1. And that was $1 well spent. A few years later, Hewlett and Packard copied some parts of the Programma and put them into one of their products without paying due rights. Eventually the story came out, so that HP decided to settle and paid Olivetti $900,000. $900,000 in exchange for a $1 patent. Not bad. What about sales? How did the Programma fare in the open market? In 1966, 2,000 pieces came out of the factory. 9 out of 10 landed in the USA, where they sold out in the blink of an eye. Companies and professionals were the first to come forward. Amongst the early adopters, we also find some VIPs. For instance, as we know, HP bought 100 units. NBC, the TV network, acquired 5 machines to keep track of some election results. NASA had its share of Programma too, 45 to be exact. We know that because there are a few photos of NASA scientists using some programmas. You can see them on our site, italianculturepodcast.com. Apparently they were quite eager to put their hands on the computer. Garziera.
Ma guardando quelle fotografie...
These photos hide a story. Back then, NASA was in a hurry to put the man on the moon and needed an agile device to expedite calculations. So, as they found out that Olivetti was going to release the Programma, they sprang into action and managed to acquire a few pre-production units. Despite those units were not meant to be sold, you can see them in the photos, sitting on the desk of NASA scientists. I'm able to tell which one is a pre-production unit, because the chassis is slightly different from the one you find on regular machines. Despite the initial success, despite the good sales numbers, despite the public's enthusiasm for this machine, the Programma 101 never truly took off. How's that possible? The Perotto team encountered nothing but success. First they conceived something revolutionary, then they built it. And they achieved all of this while working for a company that neither wanted the Programma, nor had the instruments to get it done. They won all the fights, but lost the war. The problem was elsewhere. The fish rots from the head down. For starters, it was like Olivetti's top managers were still living in the 50s, when mechanics were cutting-edge technology in office appliances. They didn't notice the world changing around them. They didn't see the upcoming electronic revolution. The Programma 101 was a fortuitous bottom-up initiative that in 1965 put Olivetti ahead of every other company in the electronic business. They had something no one else had. They were leading innovators. They could have developed this line of products and make a fortune. They did nothing. Of course, it's easy to render such an harsh judgment in retrospect, but we cannot really claim they were just short-sighted. There are a few elements telling us that Olivetti's management actually saw the opportunity, but didn't grasp it. After the Programma's debut, the company inaugurated a modernizing process, aiming to improve the efficiency of the production department, with special regard to the manufacture of electronic appliances. Then they basically reopened the electronics division, hiring those who used to work in the old unit. But this process was slow, too slow. Olivetti became a full-fledged electronic company only in 1970, 5 years after the Programma was created. It was just too late. Evolution in the electronic segment proceeds at much faster pace. Not only Olivetti lost ground to its competitors, but it also fell behind in the race for the supremacy in the sector. After 5 years of stagnancy, Olivetti wasn't too far from where the Programma 101 venture left. Other, more reactive companies had already reached and went beyond the point where the Programma was a novelty. Thanks to grant public funding, American firms were able to beef up their R&D activities and sell products to the best client in the country, that is, the US administration in its many forms. The Army, the IRS, security services. There have always been plenty of agencies interested in machines capable of grinding vast masses of data. Olivetti was running solitary instead. Since the beginning of the electronics division, Adriano Olivetti tried to convince the Italian administration that it was in everyone's best interest to understand and embrace the forthcoming electronic revolution. He opened the company's labs to students from public universities. He gifted the Ministry of Economy with a brand new Elea calculator. He received nothing in return. The Liguori.
Certamente lo sviluppo del settore elettronico.
There's not a shadow of a doubt. The push for the development of the electronics industry in Italy and Europe as it was endorsed by Adriano Olivetti, has been more or less willingly impaired by industrial policies, both on a national and international level. Besides that, one can argue that this process has been accelerated, even worsened by the business culture of the time, whose principles Olivetti never shared. This happened not only during the final stages, when the electronics division was dismantled, but even before, when Adriano Olivetti was still alive, when he was struggling to get the AD going. And so, that's how and why everyone forgot the story of the Olivetti's electronics division. That's why you've never heard of the Programma 101, the first commercial personal computer ever created. Because victors write history, but sometimes those who lost had been quick to forget too. Italian Culture is produced by Ars Dicendi. Regular episodes come out every 2 Fridays, while extras come out every 2 Mondays. Each episode is made by independent professionals and it's completely self-financed. If you enjoyed our show, you can help us by sharing this episode on social media, email, mail, telegraph, smoke signals, or any mean of communication so you find appropriate. Just introduce your friends to Italian Culture and leave a comment, a review, even if you think the show's awful. Don't worry, we have a thick skin. And don't forget our site, italianculturepodcast.com. There you'll find additional info on each episode, such as a list of suggested readings, images and transcriptions, which may help you understand our broken English. We also share exclusive contents on social media. Just search Italian Culture, the podcast, on Facebook. If you're interested in testing a fully functioning Programma 101, you shall probably pay a visit to the Museo Tecnologicamente, in Ivrea. There you'll find an exhibit of the many wonders produced by Olivetti: typewriters, calculators, computers, and, of course, the Programma 101. To plan your visit, go to museotecnologicamente.it. It's a bit long to spell it out. Why don't you visit our site italianculturepodcast.com and find the link there? There you'll also find the link to the website of the Fondazione Adriano Olivetti, that is fondazioneadrianoolivetti.it. It's the right place to start discovering the many amazing stories about Adriano Olivetti and his company. For today's episode, our thanks go to Beniamino de Liguori, Giovanni de Sandre e Gastone Garziera.